Good morning and welcome to Friday Morning Arcade. I am your host, Brady Key. Joining me is my co-host,
Nick Ryan, and today we will be talking about Monster Hunter Wilds, and we will be giving our own takes and interpretations of the game. So first, I want to talk about the story. So, what's your thoughts on the story of the game?
it's see this the story of the game is really nicely put together and written. It's beautifully done, might I add. But it's in the span and things of the games and Souls and roguelikes.
Mm-hmm.
It just I don't know. It just feels out of place in like a Souls like game that is Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
Like it feels out of place when you look at things like Elden Ring and its DLC, Bloodborne, Sekiro,
yeah,
all the Liza P, all those other ones. It just feels out of place, if that makes sense, you know?
yeah. I really loved the lore of everything, and the fact that you there's a type of immersion within this game that I'll be talking about later whenever we talk about the combat and the customization and stuff. And there's this kind of immersion that games like Devil May Cry and Bloodborne kind of do within that whole idea of being a bounty hunter and going out and getting bounties and then fighting these different monsters and stuff. But the fact that you do truly feel that way, it's such a refreshing take on that kind of nuanced nature within gaming and its storytelling.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I loved it. I love the story, but when you see those games and they're dark or more grittiness, and you have this more of airy sort of game, it feels out of place. But it's really well done, and I really like the story. But to me, when you have games like Sekiro, like all those other games, it feels out of place in the way that it's happier and
Yeah,
less dark, less gritty, less angsty. That's what I'm saying when
Yeah, yeah.
when I say it feels out of place.
Yeah. And that's something that I feel like Monster Hunter does super well, because originally that game came out on the DS, and the DS was kind of garnered towards a kids system, which I don't really think so, but it is what it is. But yeah, the fact that you're able to kind of hit those, very major beats and kind of hit those notes that, games like Souls likes and, roguelikes don't really necessarily kind of come around to do. So the fact that, they do is, I completely agree with Brady on this one. And, but yeah, I really loved the aesthetic of the story. I think it's quite refreshing. But yeah, let's talk about the combat. So, what build are you rocking right now?
Right now, it's changed because the last 3 times we've recorded
Yeah.
this episode, it has changed. It was originally I was running the dual blades because that's what I love, but now I was watching the trailers and stuff for Assassin's Creed Shadow and Yasuke. I'm like, I have to. So I'm running a super tanky katana build. I can't remember what the katana classifies because it's not a great sword. I think it's I can't remember what they call it. I can open it at my phone because I have it on my phone.
Yeah, that's one thing that I love, the fact that people are now kind of taking a bunch of these inspirations from other Capcom games and other games in general and applying it to this game. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, I just saw him and his just barging through things in like Assassin's Creed, and how he feels so different, and I'm like, I love you. I
Yeah.
love you, you samurai powerhouse of a man. I'm going to build you in Monster Hunter, and I'm going to just decimate people.
Yeah, there was a book that I read about a year ago, and it's called The African Samurai, and it's basically like an origin story of Yasuke, and that's one of the biggest things that like they talk about is how his because of his genetics and stuff in comparison to like what was like the peak male performance within Japan, like he was able to overpower a lot of guys, which is the reason why in Assassin's Creed he uses like a club, I think, right?
It's that's why he says he's an oni. When people ask him, he uses like a club, but he also is a samurai
Yeah,
and
yeah.
uses like the katana
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But also, I saw a video the other day of of him just like eating a cake and then just kicking him, and the dude gets like sent flying and goes through a wooden wall.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I don't try to build him in Monster Hunter.
Yeah, yeah, and like that's something that I've seen one to where it's Sauron from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So the fact that you're able to like go in and be able to like kind of customize your characters, which I absolutely love this newer like style of like customizability, which will kind of
We'll talk about it here
yeah.
in a minute. But I was correct. It is a long sword.
Okay, yeah. We now does it have any type of like elemental stuff?
Not right now because I did start it, so I'll restart to play as him. So it's right now. It's just the basic sword, no elemental damage yet. I haven't decided if what elemental damage I want to run, or if I want to run whatever the boss is weak against. So I haven't really decided.
Yeah, that's one thing that kind of confused me because I'm on my second run of the game. My first playthrough, I did mainly with dual swords, just because whenever it comes to like boss heavy, sorry.
Hang on while I fix
Yeah.
the light.
The like biggest problem that I have with like boss heavy games is that there's a lot of people who are kind of intimidated by that idea, and so they use a lot of like ranged stuff. To me, like the biggest way to learn how to beat a boss and to like effectively know how to like beat the game is through like being up in their grill and constantly like learning how to like dodge through attacks and when to block, and like actually getting to know their attack patterns, and just like standing in the background with your buddies and, and just like spamming R1 or whatever. But yeah, like I absolutely loved the dual swords, but I've come back and I'm kind of doing a similar like tanky build, except that with me, I am doing a regular like great sword because I'm trying to cosplay Guts from Berserk, and just that kind of like Black Knight aesthetic.
All right, we're not
Yeah.
gonna have the light this episode. That's
Yeah.
finicky.
But kind of having that like Black Knight aesthetic, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go and do like a tankier build, and it's been really fun. And yeah, that's one of my biggest problems with kind of like how I wanted to prepare was like when I started my second playthrough and I got to like understand like, oh, okay, so this boss is weak to these certain like elemental damages and stuff, I just kind of decided, I was like, you know what, because I'm way too lazy, I pulled up like a little spreadsheet or a grid of all of the bosses and just try to find the commonality weakness, and then once I found that, I finally like I think that like whenever I was going for, because within the game you can respec all your stats and stuff, and so that's what I basically did was that like, well, once you get to a certain boss, you are able to go and those bosses are like weak to fire. So I was like, okay, well, this group is weak to fire, so I'm just going to do as much like elemental stuff towards fire. And then I went back and I respect that sword. And then after that, it was like dark or whatever. But yeah, let's talk about, because we kind of got off track within the customizability. What's your thoughts on it?
See, for me, I really love the customization ability
Yeah.
in Monster Hunters because it's more of like step back, but also a step forward in the way, because when you look at other games, there's like a super serious amount of customization you can do, and then you get to this, there's not a lot of customization, but there is a lot of customization. There's so much ways you can take it and like build, because like not only are you customizing your appearance, but you're customizing your experience in the game.
Yeah.
Because like when you customize your build, you get to customize your experience of like, are you going to struggle? Are you going to blow through a boss?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there's so much customization in the world of Monster Hunter. I feel like it's one of the top games in customization ability, because each customization factor and each different like thing changes your experience through the game. So
Yeah.
and also, my biggest and favorite thing is the customization of your palico or like the cat that follows you
Yeah.
around. You can go so in depth with it, and I've known a lot of people, myself included, have made like our lost cats or lost pets in
Yeah.
a way. So that's been a really cool aspect that you were able to customize. And I've seen a lot of community posts of Monster Hunter talking about how much they loved and enjoyed that aspect of being able to bring back the memories of their lost ones.
That's like one of the biggest things within, I think, the industry as a whole that we've kind of like lost, is that there's a difference between being able to customize your character and being able to connect with your player base on such a personal level. And I think that because of that, this game kind of recedes what we understand of, the whole play philosophy of customizing, and what that kind of entails, with something like Dark Souls or like any type of Souls. Like, there's very few characters there's very few games that you're on a preset character. A lot of them, you're able to create your own character, and I think that because of that, certain things are kind of lost. And also because a game like Fallout or Dark Souls or even Skyrim has a very primal approach to a character customization. But yeah, I totally agree with Brady that like your build is going to completely change how you approach the game, and I think that that's something that with a lot of modern RPGs you don't really get a whole lot. The last game that I could really say had that was Elden Ring. So the fact that you're able to approach it in such a way is absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about that. What's your thoughts on the game as a whole?
The game as a whole, it's been so like nicely done. I mean, there's been what, 6 games?
Yeah. Yeah, 6 mainline games and like 13 games as a whole, including
But yeah,
a lot.
yeah, there's a lot. But it's been such like a nice little detour of like games and in general. It's just like a nice little, I'm kind of bored and I kind of want some scenery, but I also want to fight some bosses. So let's just open up Monster Hunter and just have this kind of. The game's been fun. It's hard to say that about certain games now. It's like the game feels fun. Like If it's Mortal Kombat 1, you're just irritated with the game and you're irritated with people, or it's like Call of Duty, you're getting mad because people are better at omnidirectional movement than you are, or it's just like with this game it feels fun, which not a lot of games do that anymore.
I think a lot of it comes from the standpoint of like esports now. Like for you to enjoy a game, and a lot of games now are based around the whole idea of you need to be on ranked every day, for at least 3 hours to be able to have some sort of consistency of fun. With Monster Hunter Wilds, it's like I haven't played in about a week because I've been playing Borderlands, and like I talked about in our previous episode, After Dark, I've been doing a lot of other projects and stuff, and the fact that tonight I can come in to, like, I can hop on and instantly feel like, oh wow, I really enjoy this game. That's kind of lost because like you have that kind of esports mentality within games, like, even though I love it, For Honor, or a lot of modern fighting games and stuff. So the fact that like a game like this is designed to say you can hop on whenever you want, it doesn't matter. For how long, it doesn't matter as well. You can hop on for 30 minutes, which in my personal opinion isn't a lot of time because the world is really, really great. But yeah, like I absolutely loved it. So yeah, but yeah, I'm trying to think of any other ways to where, because it's really hard to critique this game.
It really is. It's so like beautifully done. It's hard to go and like pick and choose what you don't like. My only big gripe, I know that we share this one, is the organization ability of the game.
Yeah.
There's no set way to organize things, so that's always been a real pain, and I've always hated that when I'm playing this. That's the one thing that kind of dwindles down the fun, is the fact that there's no real organization, no real filter in how to organize. It's just kind of, it gets added to your inventory and just it gets thrown down and stuff.
Yeah, I just finished playing the Neo Duology, and also there's not an earthquake. I just finished playing the Neo Duology and also started playing Borderlands 2, and those games are very like loot rich, and you get a lot of loot from playing and stuff. And like those games, which Borderlands 2 is a little over 10 years old, I think, and then Neo 1 and 2 are I think Neo 1 just turns 10 this year. So like, yeah, like these
old.
yeah, these games are a little older compared to what Monster Hunter Wilds are, and this game doesn't have the type of mechanics within the organization process, which is very odd, because I'm someone who I am kind of like very picky about like how I approach loot. I want, my loot to be in, A to Z order, the power level, and also the rarity. And within Neo 1 and 2, and even Borderlands 2, you could do that. Within this game, you can't. And it just kind of feels like, again, like, and very, like, small gripes, because do you have anything you want to comment
I mean,
on?
there's so much, like, what we tried to say earlier. We're not trying to glaze how good this game is, but it's so good, and it's an interesting take on these style games because of certain characters, and like, and the way I'm drawing a blank on her name. The girl who authorizes your hunts before everything. That's such like an interesting take, and it's something that not really a lot of games do. they don't really make you feel like you're a hunter or like you're a bail bondsman or something. This game makes you feel like you're doing what like the title is. Like what there's it's like Bloodborne and this one are feel like are the only ones where it actually has you be a hunter and do what you're supposed to do and like authorize your hunts and like authorize you to go do this. Like she says the guild authorizes you to hunt this wraithicorn or whatever. Like that there's some sense of like accomplishment and immersion when they do that in games. And not a lot of games do that. You know?
Yeah, and like that's something that I'm probably gonna get a whole lot of flack for this, but a couple years ago I started playing Animal Crossing, and
good old Animal Crossing. Screw you, Tom Nook, you suck.
And that game does a really great job at establishing like you're only a townsfolk. You're not the main character. You still have to pay your taxes. And it's those things that, I just think that they're very small, but I absolutely love.
Yeah, it's that immersion aspect that you don't get in a lot of games, and I feel that's what we're missing, and that's why I feel like it makes Monster Hunter an even better game than it actually is, is it gives you that sense of immersion again. You don't get that sense of immersion really anymore in games. It's just like, when in these type of games, let's just bring up Elden Ring. There's not a lot of immersion in Elden Ring.
No, there truly isn't. And that's very hard for me to say because I think that Elden Ring is a great game. But yeah, no, there isn't. You're a dude, and you just happen across these things, and that's really what it is,
Yeah, there's like nothing. In Elden Ring, you just get gaslighted by the moon goddess to go and do her bidding. But in this game, there's immersion. You're feeling like you're in the story. Like, this is a call out to all like new game developers and AAAs. Just add that sense of immersion again. Like, so many games nowadays don't have that immersion unless you specifically get like an role-playing game. You're not gonna get any immersion. That's why I'm so excited for GTA 6 because of the immersion of the game and all the like online mode and all like the immersion and role-playing you can do.
Yeah,
that's why I'm so excited, because it's gonna revitalize immersion in games and stuff. It's just one big thing that I have that not a lot of games do, is that immersion aspect.
Yeah. I think that it's very easy to disconnect yourself from a game, and that link is really, really important to get across your themes, but also your gameplay. And that's the reason why a lot of games tend to fall off, because you don't necessarily have that. And with something like, GTA, because you have that role-playing capabilities and stuff, you're able to do a lot of, your own things. And I think that, I'm not saying that every game has to have, a way for you to do an RP server, but I mean, those are some of the easiest ways to do it, so. But yeah, you have anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. After 3 tries of doing this episode, I feel like this has been our best put together episode. I mean, the one thing we didn't talk about was the ending of the game and how beautiful it is done in the way the hunter authorizes the final hunt. It's like, by the power of me, I authorize this hunt. And I'm like, oh, I've just felt good. I felt like, I've just felt the power of it. Like, it just felt awesome.
Yeah. Again, though, it's because they lead you into such a story-rich and immersion-rich environment that, you're able, that, ending, which is very simple, is able to hit those key notes. And, I I don't want to say that it's a like 10 out of 10 game because there's very few games that I do, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this at like Game Awards next year.
Oh, for 100%. And I think that's it. Just one last thing I've come up with. At the end of this school year in May, we haven't set it on a date yet. We will go through and cut and talk about all the games we have done and covered, and we will rank them, give our best scores, like a 9 out of 10, or we'll do like a tier list, and we'll let you judge us, I guess, on them.
Yeah.
But that's
Laugh
just the
at
kind
us.
of thing that I had an idea for, is for
Mhm.
us to show you each game we've covered, our rankings on them, because we
Yeah.
don't talk about what score we give the game. So I think we might start implementing our scores into our next couple of episodes and stuff. But realistically, towards the end of May, like, I don't know, second week of May, we will drop an episode that is good, like our After Dark series, that will be us rating every game we've covered so far.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really excited for that because I think that we go so in depth into these games that's very hard to like recognize. Like, oh, okay, well, I like this game better than what we covered over here, on the first week of April or whatever. So the fact that we're able to do that is really nice. But yeah, my name is Nick Ryan.
And this is Brady Keith signing out from the arcade. We'll see you next Friday.